What's up, everybody? This is Justin Flitter coming to you live from Northern Virginia with the Justin Flitter Podcast by My Mentor Medicine. I know it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast for all of you, and there's reasons for that it's not important for me to explain for you right now. Just a lot of things going on in life, just like we all do. Holidays passing, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of these things. My two little kids running around with all their activities, wrapping things up, us getting ready for the holidays, all those things that I know that all of you out there are doing as well. So excuse the absence. I am here now. I will be here more often, especially in the new year. That's one of the things that I want to do more in the new year, which is be here more for all of you. So this week's podcast, I want to talk with you about your calling in life, your calling to be whoever and whatever it is that you believe you are supposed to be in your life, your calling. Throughout the years of our lives, we know that there are certain places that we go, certain people that we go, certain things that we learn and do that spark interest in us. We decide that we want to learn more about that location that we traveled to, about the history or the architecture or the people, the culture. We want to learn more about those things or those people. There's also maybe you're going to school and you're learning about a particular subject and you continue learning more and more and more, reading more books, listening to people. Wherever your interest is drawn, mine in the past was music. I started to learn more about music, but not necessarily the written portion of it, but the more personal aspect of it and how my emotions could be displayed through my music. So those of you who have listened to me playing the piano every now and then when I go live on Facebook, you can hopefully get a sense of that. We all have what we consider to be our callings in life. And sometimes it is masked by the things that we do, the professions that we enter, the areas of study that we pursue. All the while, though, you may think that you're doing something that you aren't doing or shouldn't be doing because maybe you had a deep interest in comic books, but now you're working in the field of finance. I'm sure there's some connection there at some level that allows you to be the person you are today, rather than go to work and regret who you are and maybe the fact that you aren't reading or writing or drawing these comics that maybe you're so interested in before. Our lives are constantly filled with moments that allow for the opportunity of regret. We can choose to regret doing something, and we can choose not to regret doing something. A lot of people will also refer to this as I missed my calling. So take a second now and ask yourself that question. Do you believe that you missed your calling in life? That's a deep question for all of you. Do you believe that at this point in your life you're doing exactly what you were called to do? Now here's my follow-up question. Are you the same person you were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, as you are now? I assume the answer is no. Of course you are not. You are not the same person, and you never will be the same person again. Just like the people who wish that they looked like back in the day when they were in their prime, as we like to say. I was in my prime. I wish I could go back to that time period of my life. You can't. You won't. You can only live where you are right now. So your calling that may have presented itself to you 20 years ago, presented itself to you, to the person you were 20 years ago. And you, in fact, now are not the same person. So you cannot say that you missed your calling. Maybe at that point in your life there was an opportunity that opened up for you, but the real answer is you didn't move in that direction. At that period in your life, you chose to not go in that direction. And that is something that we make peace with. most of the time. Now, you can also think of it this way. Does a flower look the same when it's planted as when it's blossoming? Of course not. They are two very different things, but they are connected during their growth pattern. Now we can somewhat predict the pattern that it is going to grow in from seed to blossom. The point of this is that things change. You change. The flower may want to, if it had a choice of its own, it may want to, instead of becoming an orchid, it wanted to become a sunflower or an oak tree. There are things that it will become, and there are things that it will not become. Things change. People change. Callings change. You did not miss your calling in life. You may have missed a calling in life, but not the calling in life. New callings come. New opportunities come. Your potential exists inside of you, just like the potential within a seed to become something exists inside of that seed. It unfolds itself just as you unfold yourself throughout life based on the environment that you are planted in. If you are forced to study at school, either by your own choice or by another person's choice, going back to my previous example of going into finance, if you are forced to study finance, you will immerse yourself in the environment that allows one to become good at the art of finance. That environment you have placed yourself in will allow for that, just like the environment for the plant to grow in will allow for it to blossom someday. And here's another way to look at the idea of a calling or the potential within. A plant, when it is placed in a particular environment, maybe you're given all of the right things, the dirt, the water, the sunshine, but you plant something in the middle of winter. It is going to grow very differently than it is if it were to be planted in another season like spring or summer. The environment is not only the things around you that exist, it is also based on timing. Your calling occurs when you yourself are placed in the environment at the best time. Some things will grow better in the winter, some things will grow better in the summer. You must learn to recognize within yourself where and how you grow. And once you can understand the timing and the environment, you can then recreate those things. You can recreate the environment. You can surround yourself with the people that you know help support you and grow in the way that you believe you were called to do so. You can generate this growth pattern based on the timing that you choose, not based on what others choose for you. This is the difference between us and plants, obviously, because we can choose. We can choose where we want to be and who we want to be with. There's an old saying that a friend of mine reminded me of many years ago. I don't remember it exactly, but it was said, I believe, by George Washington, that you should surround yourself with people of the same kind. I mean, I'm not saying it nearly as eloquently as George Washington would have said it, but basically you must surround yourself with people of the same caliber, the same kind, the same mindset, so that you yourself can grow, just as you see them growing. It is based on timing, it is based on environment. It is also based on your energy, where you put your energy. In essence, in comparing yourself to a plant, you are creating your own personal greenhouse. You're creating the exact conditions that you need to not only survive, but to thrive. That is what I'm calling you to do. So whatever your calling was in life that you may have missed, let it go. That calling is gone. A new one will present itself. And if you don't believe it, then that is the one thing that is preventing you from finding it and hearing it, because it is calling out to you. Timing, environment, your energy, everything that you put into the equation will allow for you to thrive. So let me ask you, do you have a new calling? If you don't see one right now, are you making sure that you are prepared and ready to hear the next one? That's it for this week's podcast. I'm Justin Flinner, and this is the Justin Flinner Podcast by My Mentor Medicine. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that you will continue to listen to your callings in your life. Take care, and have a wonderful day.
This podcast is brought to you by My Mentor Medicine, an organization that is dedicated to helping people improve their lives by learning to empower themselves and take control of their own life. Any form of reproduction or distribution of this podcast is strictly prohibited. Should you have any questions on using this podcast or information that is contained within this podcast, please write to info@mymentormedicine.com.